Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What do you associate with Hong Kong, the very place we're in? Is it finance? Is it food, dim sum? Or in education university, the high stress exam culture in all of the education in Hong Kong? Well, what I notice and characterize in any urban city is that Hong Kongers move extremely fast. We walk extremely fast. We go crazy at the elevator button. Everything is about speed and efficiency. Now, it seems like our roadmap to life in the so-called Hong Kong dream, perhaps, is all laid out for us. We study hard, get a good GPA, maybe land a nice job, and we graduate, and we finish all of that. We save up for the next 30 years, hopefully, to pay for our mortgage. Now, it is true, I'm not denying this reality. We all share a collective struggle, in addition to our personal challenges. For me, that is a chronic disease. For you, it might not be. It could be something complicated in the family. It could be some form of financial hardship. Maybe you're doing multiple part-time jobs to sustain something that you can't really share with the person next to you. Everybody is different. But this reality is different for me. Hong Kong reminds me of something about the weather. It's the humidity, something probably so trivial to you, but it relates to my chronic condition called eczema, subton. It's extremely exacerbated by the weather condition because it's so humid, so sticky, and so stuffy in the air and the space we live in. Eczema, for those of you who don't know, is a dry and itchy skin condition that we just scratch ourselves day and night, even into our sleep, and even when we're damaged and we're bleeding. These are photos of myself, and at first you might actually develop just a little kind of patch, like a mosquito bite. And you itch, you bleed, you ooze, you pus, you scab, and it's the end of the story. But for eczema patients, actually it is recurrent. The places spread more and more, bigger and bigger, to more different parts of the body, and when it becomes more moderate in severity, not severe yet, it's actually going to go to different parts of your body, from your arms, your legs, and maybe your face. For that case, this is my chin. I'm not showing the full photo of my face, but when you scratch for so long, the physical pain is nothing compared to the emotional burden and the sleepless nights that you get every single night. And when the skin is scratched for so long, it's very dry and scaly and thick. It doesn't bleed anymore, kind of like the calluses when you develop playing the guitar or go to the gym. And we have a term for it called the elephant skin. Unfortunately, for people with eczema, you kind of have to suffer for life for what doctors would like to say. You use a medication called the steroid cream to suppress it in the short term. Some people grow out of it, and which is fine, but for the remainder of us, we don't really grow out of it, and it's kind of on and off for the rest of our lives. As it all started when I was 6 years old, in the middle of the photo. I wasn't really happy, as you can see. I never really smiled, compared to now perhaps, and it was all over my body, and I still clearly remembered every morning in primary school, I had to do one thing probably none of you here had to do. Every morning I would wake up and I had to change from my pajamas to my school uniform, and from the night of air conditioning, it would dry up the blood and the stains and the pus that had dried up, sticking my pajama to my skin. I would have to rip them apart just when the new skin was about to develop. And I would have to go and repeat this process for the rest of my primary school. We tried different solutions, we go to different doctors, and yes, Western medicine, Chinese medicine, we tried a lot of different things. And eventually the family kind of gave up because the solution kind of remains the same. And you might say, well, as any good parent would, it's nice to distract the kid's attention away into something else so that it doesn't become part of your identity. Maybe you can bring the kid to Disneyland. Maybe you can go to Ocean Park or do something more fun. Well, when I was crying, itching myself beneath the blanket at night, I would not only cry because of the pain, of the physical pain, I would actually overhear the chaos in the household. I would actually hear shouter between my mom and dad, fighting and arguing. There was always a lot of anger in the house. Very soon after, by the end of kindergarten, I was informed that my mother would actually go on a very long overseas work trip and come back a few years later. It's also known as the simplest lie you can tell to a kid about divorce. My parents divorced when I was 6 years old, and throughout the rest of my primary school, I never really had a backing surrounding my physical and mental health. And my skin was crying, my body was crying, my eyes were always swollen. When I was in Australia in high school, as well as in Shanghai, you can see that I played a lot of basketball. I really like sports, and I also started to become more self-conscious as I aged. And I realized people around me would start looking at me, giving me looks, and I became even more self-conscious. I would go between basketball game breaks just to scratch myself in the bathroom and then come back out. My fingers were always filled with blood stains. And in high school, a new phase came, the phase of dating. And so I was really worried about my first kiss because my lips were always cracked and dry. She said it didn't matter, but it mattered to me. And so it just made me feel like every day I was a problem and something needed to be fixed. And eventually, I just couldn't give up the idea that there is at least maybe some hope that could help solve my eczema despite what the doctors had told me. I kept Googling hundreds of pages of results on Google, different keyword variations of how to get rid of eczema, how to fix eczema naturally, and so forth. And I read online a pattern emerged, which was that although eczema is an external skin condition, you can actually eat yourself out of it and heal your body from inside out. I was skeptical. If that was true, why didn't the doctor tell me? Plus, it's free. Out of desperation, I gave it a shot, and every morning, I would actually blend a whole cup of fruit juice, and for lunch and dinner, each a kilogram of boiled vegetables. No junk food, no fast food, no nothing. No allergens. For the first 6 months, there was no difference. And by the time summer came, when I really went fully restrictive into this diet program, somehow I noticed I stopped itching when I went to the gym and started sweating. Perhaps it made a difference, and for the first time in my life, I lost all of the eczema that I once had to rely on medication for the first 10 years of my life. I believe that I'm just a simple human being, and if I could have done it, the other person next to me could do it too. And that began my life's calling. And one expression that really stuck with me, perhaps out of desperation for me to keep searching for solutions, is that little bit of mentality that kept it alive, which is something you might have heard of before, and it's all about mentality. If you believe you can, you're right. And if you believe you cannot, you're also right. And I think that leap of faith for me to do something a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more open-minded, is what kept me going. You might not have eczema today here. Maybe you have something else that you're dealing with, something that is not easily shareable to someone else. It is tough, but if you believe that your deck of cards dealt with you from birth is different than the other, and you feel like the odds are all stacked against you, you could play the victim card. You could also not play the victim card. And when I entered university to specialize in food and nutrition so that I can help more people with eczema, I joined the science faculty, and in the freshman orientation, around myself were peers in the science faculty, and everyone was passionate, I believed, and I asked them, why did you want to specialize in nutrition? Did you also want to be a nutritionist when you graduate? And person after person told me, of course not. You can't get a job studying science in Hong Kong. It's just what my points led me to. And so person after person just gave me disappointment. Fortunately, I came across an event from the Nutrition Society called the Tea Gathering. Depending on how much you know about Hong Kong culture, the tea gathering was what I've initially imagined. In a very nice room on a Wednesday night in the campus, people were sitting in chairs discussing academic papers from the latest nutrition research and chatting about what they can do next in their careers. But it's not. It's not about tea, nor is it about gathering. It's actually about indoctrinating you to become the next executive committee so then you can organize another tea gathering. And it goes on and on. I was pretty demotivated, but I had at least one more mission to accomplish before I would enter the world of University of Possibilities. In 2017, I decided to put everything I knew in one place so that people could stop asking me, because they were all frequently asked questions. And I launched this book in September. I was very excited, coincided with new school year. I always carried a book in my backpack so that I could give it to the person who needed it. One day, as you can see in the MTR station, I saw someone in front of me with severe eczema that I once went through, from his face to his body, and he was talking with his friend. I saw them from behind. They were about to board the train. The train hadn't come yet, but I realized I had a book in my backpack. And out of the charity and the good cause I wanted to provide, I didn't want it to be awkward, because if they were stuck to talk to me, it might be very hard for them. And so I timed it just right about when the train would arrive, so then when they get the book, they would step into the train and not have to talk to me. Unfortunately, when the train did arrive, I tapped them on the shoulder. They didn't really turn all the way back. They did look back, and they stopped chatting. I told them, hey, there's a book that I want to give you. I have nothing to sell you. It's for free. You can take it, and you can leave it if you want. Maybe he didn't hear it properly, so when he went into the train, and I followed them into it. I almost got viral negatively, but I decided to walk back. I told them one more time, this is free, I have nothing to sell you, but they didn't really want it. So I was pretty demotivated, and on to the next few years in university, I started joining different things and forgot about eczema because it's all online and everybody can just read a book. I joined salsa dancing, did a bit of science communication, and life was great. And in the public speaking community, someone called Jim, he said, hey, I know you have this mission with eczema. Do you want to talk about eczema on radio, on RTHK? I said, yes, of course I wanted to. But he said, you need to have an event. You need to have a call to action so people can go to it after hearing from you on the radio. But I've never done a workshop on eczema before. And so I made a workshop poster, and then I did the interview, I did the radio, I told people to go to it, and people didn't really sign up. So I put 1,000 HKD Facebook ads onto it. 2 weeks later, still no one signed up. So I thought of a strategy. Back in the days when HKU student union still existed, they had a bulk email service where you could just email everyone for free. All the staff, all the students, all the alumni. But when I messaged them, they said they can't just promote a random event. You need to actually, for social cohesion, actually start a student society. And I thought of the strategy where in the email, which went through by the way, on the top I would actually have the workshop poster, and at the bottom I will hide it in a very small font. We're actually recruiting for this student committee for eczema with a 7 days deadline. I didn't actually want anyone to apply. The email went out. We managed to host an event with 20-something people, but 15 people actually applied. Unfortunately, but fortunately, on the next few years, I would end up to meet my co-founders, now doctor and pharmacist, myself a nutritionist, to start a social enterprise to help people get rid of eczema across all incomes of life through not only medication, but skincare, nutrition, exercise, sleep quality, and so forth. It's about holistic health and being comprehensive and personalized. And we did win a lot of awards and a lot of media attention during the COVID period. And although many years ago I did feel that the technical information was all accomplished with the book and website, I didn't really feel motivated to do anything more. But I think just talking to more people made me realize it's about reminders, it's about encouragement. Maybe people were scammed, maybe people were hopeless after being scammed many, many times. So maybe I had a little bit of role to kind of inspire some change, and the fact that many other students also wanted to be part of the mission. In the next 2 years, we will have student societies and all of these public talks, online talks, and this is my dorm room. And it made me actually delay my graduation for 2 years. And after all these 4 years of university, although was pretty demotivated in the beginning, gradually I learned to pick up my own mission again. I really learned to take the ownership because, again, another expression really stuck with me was time is of the essence. And if not now, then really when exactly? And if you don't do it, who will do it for you? You can't really delegate something that means deep for you, and it's time to take ownership. And this is something that is not only for eczema, but something that can equally apply to anyone's lives. In the first 2 years post-graduation, I still, nevertheless, worked in a big company to get some experience. And obviously, very soon after, it didn't connect with my personal values and goals. I ended up quitting my job, and before the management trainee program finished, against many people's advices, and I resigned. This was 2022 July, and from a fancy office, many desktops, a nice pantry of fruits and vegetables and chocolates and whatnot, this is my work from home desk. It's no longer this tidy. It's actually very messy now, and this is a very nice Erman Miller chair, good for the back, and. Later, I realized people didn't want to meet me for something of an online nature. It felt like a passion project. How can I trust you and my family's health if you only work online? I booked and rented 6 months of a cubicle space in Causeway Bay. Rent was high, but it's kind of weird to see someone in healthcare in a co-working space. You wouldn't really trust that, would you? And chicken or egg problem came. Do you actually dump all of your savings and funding into renting a full-fledged office so that people feel the confidence to buy something from you? Or do you actually save up a little bit, and hopefully avoid it one day? I took the more riskier move, and this is the new office in 600 something square feet. And there's a nice consultation room. We organize a lot of events for families and everyone with eczema. A not very nice, cohesive community. While the expenses grew, the revenue didn't. And in 2023, my bank account statement, half year after quitting my job, ran out already. And it's 8K. And by the end of the month, it's 3K. And one more month later, it's 3 digits. 3 digits, it's 2 round trips Uber from here to Central. And it's gone. And so I try to cut my expenses to a minimal standpoint and trying to just be frugal about it. And eventually some good news came, a government funding for social entrepreneurship for eczema patients, but cash flow came 6 months later. So I still had to push through. And initially, I would only make maybe 2,000 a month, which is nothing to sustain a living. 1 year later, it was 10K. Another 1 year later, it was 100K. So at least I can break even, I can finally breathe, I can finally enjoy a little bit more, finally smile after 3 years of not smiling and enjoying it, even though I didn't like to admit the pressure that I was facing. It took a lot of courage. Previously, I had to scribe for senior management. Now I chat with senior management to discuss collaborations. Previously, I worked in an office. Now I have my own office. And previously, I would study public health on a textbook. Now I would actually go to public health centers to deliver talks. It's been a long journey, 3 years, and what kept me going through is only one thing. And there were a million reasons I could have quit. It's too hard, the money didn't come, people didn't believe me, I could just go back to the golden handcuffs. But that one message was clear. And I hope that message resonates with you too, whichever mission that you're going for, which is to remember your why. And I hope that my lessons learned from suffering from eczema throughout my life were able to resonate with you, hopefully give you more courage to push through whatever you're going through. Thank you very much.